In 1886, the great Chiricahua Apache war leader Geronimo surrendered after a lengthy effort to capture him. General Nelson Miles conjured a scheme. There were 434 Chiricahua at the San Carlos Reservation. Many were family and friends of Geronimo's band. Miles sent word that they would all be sent 2,000 miles away, never to be seen again if Geronimo did not surrender. He did so on September 4th, 1886. This was the beginning of 26 years of imprisonment of the Apaches. Among the prisoners was Geronimo's translator, Sam Houser, and his wife, Blossom, the parents of Allan Houser, who became this country's greatest sculptor of the mid-20th century. Allan Houser was the first free-born Apache after their release from Fort Sill, Oklahoma, in 1912. Allan's great-grandfather was the legendary chief Mangus Colorados, and Geronimo his great-uncle. Allan Houser, after anglicizing his name, became our country's premier sculptor of the 20th century, and indisputably the most influential and respected Native American artist achieving global influence. In 1934, Houser left the dusty farmlands of Apache, Oklahoma, to be among the first students to attend the Santa Fe Indian School. 4 years later, in Los Angeles, he was exposed to the European modernists like Henry Moore and Brancusi, which would have a lasting effect on his life's work. Here we see Houser completing a monument-sized work entitled The Future. This Chiricahua family is on display in Albuquerque, New Mexico. A central aspect of many of his compositions of southwestern tribes, like the Apache, is simplicity, flowing lines, and soft, rounded surfaces of blankets draped over the figures. He explored images of other Indian tribes, frequently of the Plains Indians, as in this piece entitled Plains War Dance. This vividly demonstrates Houser's ability to deal with movement and dynamic composition of the figure. Houser taught in several schools until 1975. At age 61, he stopped teaching to develop full-time to his art. Over the next 19 years, he achieved the most spectacular output of art ever seen, an estimated 1,000 works in stone, wood, and bronze. He had nearly 50 one-man shows and numerous museum representations, including the Smithsonian, Met, White House, MoMA, United Nations, as well as museums in Tokyo, Berlin, Paris, and the British royal family. In 1979, Allan Houser became the artist in residence at Dartmouth College, which was a land-grant school founded in 1769 for the education of Native Americans. In 1992, President George Bush awarded Allan Houser our nation's highest honor for the arts, the National Medal of the Arts. The singing of chants and songs play a significant role in Houser's work. This example, entitled Reminiscing, reflects his fond memories of his father's skill at telling stories of their people, which, Houser says, could bring the old ones to tears. Most astounding and unprecedented, Houser pursued realism and abstraction at the same time, interchangeably. Here we see Houser in his studio, working on a large example of pure abstraction, while a realistic figure is reclined in the foreground. Other sculptors worked exclusively in either realism or abstraction, or they transition over time from one style to another, but never produced ongoing works of both types throughout their careers. Conflict has always been part of Native American history, and Houser has depicted a dramatic scene of an Apache at full gallop towards his enemy. We saw an image of Geronimo as a warrior, eluding all efforts to capture him. This is the leader of his people almost a quarter century later, towards the end of his captivity. Houser wanted a life-size bust of Geronimo, a leader, battle-hardened and strong. This is the clay model as Houser is completing it. The finished bronze definitely projects the qualities that Houser wanted to achieve. This is how Geronimo will be remembered. This work, entitled Woman of the Plains, a significant book on Houser, was published a few years before his passing that contained over 200 images of his life's work. 60% of them were of Native American women, often with babies and small children. They are generally depicted going about their lives and daily chores. No other 19th or 20th century sculptor of the West revered the role of wife and mother within the tribal society structure the way Allan Houser did. In Allan Houser's simple, understated modesty, he said his vision as a sculptor was to honor Native American culture and values, family, peace, and respect for animals and the natural world. Learning comes from many sources, from carving tombstones with power tools to studying with the most important Native American artist, Allan Houser. When Houser viewed Doug Hyde's first effort at sculpting, he remarked, "You'll never be a sculptor." Hyde says, "That's exactly what I needed. I was dead serious after that." Born into a Nez Perce family in Oregon, Doug Hyde's journey was not a straight line. 2 tours in Vietnam with the 198th Light Infantry Brigade left him seriously wounded from a grenade attack. In 1989, he received an extraordinary commission from the city of Phoenix to sculpture the first monument honoring the Navajo code talkers of World War II. Hyde chose a deeply symbolic approach. The 17-foot-tall figure is seen here in traditional Navajo dress, not military gear, and holding a flute, not a rifle or radio. The flute traditionally meant to Native Americans that conflict is over, it is time for peace. His smaller bronze pieces, like this figure, entitled A Quiet Moment, captures the simplicity and smooth, soft forms that his mentor, Allan Houser, taught. It is fitting, when Allan Houser retired, Doug Hyde took his position at the Institute of American Indian Arts in Santa Fe. Although photography was still in its infancy, several talented, dedicated photographers, including Edward Sheriff Curtis, captured indelible images of the people and events that enrich our understanding of the westward experience. This is episode 18.